Hello GSAs, today we're going to be talking about gender. A lot of you probably have some preconceived notions of what gender is, and you probably have some questions about how it works, but if you're not, I have some answers. Early on in your lives, you were probably taught that there are two options, plum and apricot, and that's it. Later on, you may have been taught that it's not quite as simple as that. There's a spectrum. You can be all the way to the left to be a plum, all the way to the right to be an apricot, or somewhere in between to be a pluot. This one looks kind of like a plum, so I'm sticking it over here. But it turns out that neither the binary nor the spectrum model can accurately represent how gender works in the real world. So, what model does? This is as close as it gets, folks. Dun, dun, dun. A fruit market. We see piles of fruit everywhere of all different shapes, sizes, species, textures, flavors, colors, and aromas. Take a moment to try to figure out all the different kinds of fruits that you see shown in this market. That's quite a few varieties, isn't it? Mangoes, persimmons, dragon fruit, every citrus fruit you could imagine, apples, peaches, pears, and all sorts of squashes. There are probably even some fruits in this picture that you can't identify or name. But for right now, let's take a look at that pile of mangoes in the foreground there. Look at that. Even among this one group of fruit that all have the same name and belong to the same species, there's a great variety in appearance. Some are oblong, while others are quite round. Some are mostly green with some warmer colors, while those two in the center are almost entirely red. Just like in this pile of mangoes, members of the same gender often have variations in what their gender means to them. No two women you will ever meet will have the exact same way of relating to and expressing their gender. You can even see that some of these piles aren't even fruits at all. Look at the pile of tubers in the bottom of the image. They look like sweet potatoes, but sweet potatoes aren't fruits, they're vegetables. Just like this fruit market sells some things that aren't fruits, some people don't have gender, whereas the rest of the people do. Okay, let's drop the fruits. We're talking about real people here, people that exist here in New Mexico and literally everywhere else in the world. And I'm one of those people. I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Stacy and my pronouns are they, them. Pronouns are important, by the way, despite how they're often derided. They're the words we use to talk about people when we're not talking directly to them. Like a lot of trans people, I must state my pronouns, otherwise I'll probably get misgendered. That means people will just use the wrong gendered words to refer to me, which is a heinous form of disrespect. People use misgendering as a form of controlling and oppressing trans people, all the way from denying us entry to certain spaces to denying us life-saving medical treatment. Likewise, people often use deadnaming as a form of disrespect. This means using the birth name or the old name of a trans person who doesn't go by that name anymore. If this all seems like a novel concept to you, think of it like this. You've all probably interacted with a pet, a dog or cat, perhaps with an owner. And you may have talked about this pet with its owner, saying things like, I don't know, what breed is he? And been swiftly corrected with, actually, my dog is a she. We don't have any problem with accepting corrections on the gender pronouns of pets. So doing so with people who are sentient humans, not animals, should be just as easy, if not easier. We're people after all. You know, it actually matters to us whether or not you get it right, not just to the people who look after us. The same thing applies with names. At your school, there's probably been a teacher who's gotten married and changed their last name. When that happens, everyone knows to refer to that person with their new name because the old one just doesn't refer to them anymore. So it seems like the names and pronouns of our cis classmates and even of animals are taken as a given. You can't question them. So why is it different for our trans classmates? Because we grew up thinking that it's okay, even though it's really not. Also, a lot of people seem to think that there needs to be a one-to-one correlation between appearance and gender or appearance and pronoun. But this isn't true, even if we only look at cis people. I'm sure you've all encountered a butch lesbian who doesn't look like the stereotypical woman, but uses she, her pronouns, and, you know, is a woman. Likewise, you've probably all encountered a man with really feminine features who, despite that, is a man and uses he, him pronouns. Appearance is not gender. Appearance is not pronoun. Just because someone looks a certain way doesn't mean they're a certain gender or that they use a certain pronoun. If you feel like this information is turning your world upside down, don't worry, we're making it easy on you. I did give you my pronoun when I introduced myself, didn't I? I volunteered that information, that my pronouns are they, them. All you have to do is use the information that we give you. And if we don't give you any information, just use they, them until you're told otherwise. Just as an aside, while we're making a list of things that aren't gender, pronouns are one of them. Sometimes there isn't a one-to-one correlation between someone's gender and their pronouns. Some people don't even use pronouns at all. A lot of binary people use they, them, see, here, and other pronouns, whereas a lot of non-binary people use he, him, she, her. These things don't invalidate their identity. They don't invalidate their gender. Gender, pronouns, and appearance are all separate things. Pronouns and chosen appearance are forms of gender expression, which is why using the wrong pronoun for someone is misgendering, but these things are not gender in and of themselves. I'd also like to mention that the idea of gender that we have here in Western culture, it's not universal. Every culture out there has different expectations for different genders and different definitions of masculinity and femininity. That also includes the range of traditionally acceptable gender expressions. The more you know. In any case, if you are cis, it is your job to be an ally to trans people, just like it's the job of straight people to be allies to gay, lesbian, bisexual, and pansexual people. Us trans folks, we're human. We have hearts that beat. We bleed red. Recognizing us as the gender that we are and respecting our identity are some of the most basic things that you can do for us, but that doesn't mean they're not important. They absolutely are, but we can do a little bit better than that, don't you think? So to figure out how we can best be allies to our trans peers, let's ask ourselves, what are some ways that people have been good allies to us in the past? It doesn't specifically have to relate to LGBTQIA plus stuff, but it can also do with stuff like racial identity as well. Take a few minutes and we'll share and see what y'all came up with. All done? Okay. While I don't know the exact examples you all came up with, I can tell you one thing. When someone's a good ally to us, it makes us feel safe and validated. That applies to trans allies, bisexual allies, ace allies, and all the rest. Furthermore, good allies leverage the privilege that they have as people who don't belong to the marginalized groups that they're allied with. Cis privilege in this case. Let's take a look at some examples of how to do this. As an ally to trans people, one of the most important things that you're tasked with is to minimize the effects of transphobia. And you can do this in a variety of ways, such as, number one, defend your trans peers when they're not in the room. The pronouns that we always talk about are third-person pronouns. Like I said before, they're used to talk about us when we're not actually part of the conversation. A lot of times, the transphobia we face comes in whispers behind our backs. If someone misgenders or dead names us when they're talking to you, and crucially, you know that we're out of the closet when this happens, call it out. A lot of misgendering and dead naming gets off scot-free because the cis people that do it don't think they'll catch any flack for it, so give them that flack. You can put a stop to this form of disrespect. You can try saying something like, hey, Stacy actually uses they, them. You said she. You could even be annoying with it, which is one of my favorite things to do, because honestly, it's a little bit more effective sometimes. Every time your conversational partner says she, immediately jump in with they and make sure that they notice. Once again, please make sure that the trans person in question is actually out of the closet when you're doing this. So we have that, but what about the big stuff? Well, just like it's important to defend us when we're not in the room, it is just as important to, number two, defend your trans peers when they're right in front of you. I know you get hit over the head with the bystander effect when you're in public school because it seems like they just can't get enough of talking vaguely about bullying without implementing concrete action, but it's real stuff. If someone disrespects us to our face or denies us entry into a bathroom or assaults us all while you're right in front of us and you say nothing, that means we can't trust you. It may seem scary to speak out, but how scared do you think we feel when that happens? Use your privilege to step in. Say that you stand behind us. Start the argument with that transphobe, whatever you have to do. Chances are they'll probably have an easier time seeing your point than seeing us as human. Number three, state your pronouns upon introducing yourself and in your social media bios. This might seem a little bit silly if you're cis, and especially so if no one ever gets your pronoun wrong, but think of it like this. Right now, just about the only people who state their pronouns upon introducing themselves are trans people, because we have to, otherwise we get misgendered. So that means that by stating our pronouns, we pretty much get outed. But what if everyone gave their pronouns? Then no one would be outed when they're just trying to be respected in the most basic way possible. So give it a try. Hit pause in this video and introduce yourself to the person next to you using your name and pronoun, like this. Hi, I'm Stacy, my pronouns are they, them. Or even, hi, Stacy, they, them. All done? Okay. Let's move on to our last point, number 4. Recognize that our past is ours and our transness is confidential. It's our choice when and how to come out. Just about every trans person out there will tell you that there's at least one person they absolutely did not want to come out to, or one situation in which they did not want to come out. Oftentimes it's a matter of safety, but in any case it's about respecting our agency and our right to come out how we want to, when we want to, and to whom we want to. Outing a trans person is an extreme violation of privacy, and it's a real good way to lose friends. I'll leave you all with this. There is a significant difference between intent and impact. For example, here's a glass of water. Let's say I accidentally drop it and it shatters into a million pieces. I didn't mean to do that, but it still happened. The glass is still broken. A lot of the time we don't mean to misgender or deadname someone, but it happens accidentally. When that happens, it doesn't matter what the specifics of the situation is or how well you know the person. The right thing to do in that situation is to say that you're sorry and that you'll try to get it right next time. And that's where the metaphor reaches its end. You can put this glass of water back together. If you're good, you might even be able to make it look like it never broke at all. And that's all, folks. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Now it's some time for some shameless plugs. I play bass on TikTok and in an experimental hardcore punk band called No White Flag. Check us out if you want to. I make trans videos on YouTube from time to time. There should be one here and a subscribe button right there. And if you want more info on trans lives from a statistical standpoint, check out the 2015 US Transgender Survey. And that's all. Hope you all have a great rest of your day and stay safe.